Parasites. What are the mental and emotional signs of parasites that everybody has unless they've actively removed them over a number of processes, could be up to a number of years? Because lately I've been doing another parasite cleanse and getting rid of so many. And mainly like urinary tract and kidneys have been the area that they like to congregate. And it's one of the fewer areas left that they can. So, what are the signs? Well, fear is a huge sign that there may be parasites around the kidneys or around the lower spine. Remember, they can congregate anywhere and they can move because, hey, they want the same things we do. They want to be comfortable, have a nice environment, and good food. Well, good food for them, maybe not good for our own higher self and our best health and healing journeys. So, fear and fear of change is a big one because the Ouroboros is the snake eating its own tail. It's just the person whose mind is being controlled by the parasite is simply doing the same things over and over. I mean, eating the same foods, doing the same job, doing the same activities, not moving their body in the same way. So these are people who definitely not going to do yoga, or they're not able to do it at their highest capacity because there's too much fear there. And moving the body in different ways and different diet and lifestyle adjustments for our highest growth, they won't like that because there's something else controlling the mind. They'll fear sex because quite often there's a lot of parasites and toxins in the urinary tract. So urinary tract is our sense of happiness, and we all want to connect and make love and have beautiful, amazing sex. But hang on, we're not all doing that. Would that be because there's fear in the kidneys and then happiness in the urinary tract or genitals, and then the stuff that's in the way from cleaning that area out promotes the fear of sex? And that doesn't sound fun, but it's a reality for a lot of people. Fear of anything different. So anything that's going to change the biochemistry in the environment or move in a different way, a different activity, can be a sign for, oh, parasite, no, I can't do that. That's going to invade my habitat. So the person's mind is being controlled and says, no, I'm not going to do that. And usually makes up some sort of story, which doesn't seem plausible to anybody else, but to that person it's their truth because the mind is possibly being controlled by what some people call the devil or Diablo. Another word is parasite. A spiritual word is entity. All for a word for something that is controlling the mind or zapping and taking energy. Essentially same thing. And we don't really need a fancy, different clergy member from the Catholic Church for an exorcism. We can do a few coffee enemas, a few other protocols to clean the environment to get them out. This is another one that came to me, and because I've been getting rid of them recently, lots of information has come in. And I had a fear of snakes. I think a lot of people, they're not the cuddliest of critters. But is that a reaction of something that is within you? Hang on. That snake looks like a serpent, which is the symbol for a parasite. Hang on, I might get identified. I'm going to cause some fear and unhappiness and unease to make sure that they don't associate the mind with what they're seeing. So there's a bit of a disconnect between conscious mind and subconscious body. Yeah, interesting that one, eh? No, I thought so. Sushi. The person who is essentially addicted to sushi, so if they can't eat sushi for like 3 days or a week, like they have a craving, I have to have sushi. Well, guess what? That is a definite sign that there's a significant parasite colony going on. Because as we know there's been many tests and cadavers and lots of people who have eaten a lot of sushi will end up getting a big colony with inside them. And you'll notice that generally in Japanese culture, they're very good at being robotic and process work and getting things done and industrial, but they're not really fantastic at creativity. And creative thinking's in the sacral, which of course, and there's a lot of fear from being creative. So there can be a lot of parasites in urinary tract and kidneys, because that's where they like to get away from the heart, which is beating at a high vibration, and also getting further away from where blood and oxygen can find them and send messages through the nervous system back to the mind. Tricky buggers, aren't they? Yeah, totally. So getting rid of them is absolutely wonderful, I can guarantee you that. Oh, pork crackling. A person who has an unnatural, in a way, association and desire and craving for pork crackling. There's a few families like that, isn't there? Guess what that says about their families? Yeah, they've all been eating the same foods. They're naturally going to have the same parasites and a similar mentality. Yeah, and you see some pork crackling stores, just stores with pretty much just pork crackling. Not good situation at all, because as we know, toxins and parasites grow in mucous plaque areas that are stored in the body wherever they may be, and pigs are the same. So they transfer their parasites and their toxins into us. Yeah, that's a bit yucky. So you may want to reconsider the pork or a pig of any sort, because, and that's why it's one of the kosher rules, the Jewish eating system. And this is the reason why it creates a significant amount of parasites, in particular in the urinary tract, because that's the Christmas ham section of the pig. So urinary tract infections in the pig and anus. Let's go and have Christmas ham. Urinary tract and anus parasites transferring to humans. Puts a little bit of a different spin on the Christmas ham, doesn't it? So, are we being controlled biologically and biochemically through our diet? Definitely. Because the ones that have been coming out of myself have been from urinary tract area, and there's been definite messages and meditations and changes in subconscious patterns, and there's definitely pork from childhood. So if we've eaten pork in childhood and we don't have enough bioenergy to deal with that urinary tract infection, it gets stored and stored and stored and stored until we have enough energy to actually deal with it properly, which means we need more energy at the end of the day in excess. So that's why maximum vitality is huge. Okay, repetition. The person is always doing the same things because they're being controlled their diet and their lifestyle by the parasite. There's a lot of those around, isn't there? They're afraid of spirituality because, a number of reasons, but most spiritual practice has a high oxygen content, or to raise the vibration. You know, meditation or yoga or some beautiful emotional clearing, all things that could possibly identify the parasites and where they are. And of course, that's not going to happen if a person has a significant amount of parasites that is controlling the mind, because they'll get identified, and there's a fear of survival, and they'll secrete certain hormones and different biochemicals that will send people away from their spiritual practice, and also to prevent them from growing as much as they possibly could into their genetic and spiritual potential. And don't we all want that? Absolutely. Leeches. It's totally a connection. I just had a leech pop onto my 5 minutes before making this video, and I went, sign, thank you, gotcha. Now, people have a fear of leeches. I mean, hey, that's essentially a parasite that we can see. So if there's a big emotional reaction, perhaps that leech is going to identify the ones that are inside, big reaction. People can't help it, and they know that it's possibly irrational, or is not them, not the real them. because they're possibly being identified, and there has to be a fear reaction to make sure they don't get shown. Yeah, different way to look at it, eh? Also, they don't have a sacral chakra, or they're afraid of anything creative or sexual or even talking about sex, because that could possibly identify and raise the vibration in that particular area by sending some energy and some focus even in conversation. Yeah, a few of those people around. And baseless. A person who doesn't have a base chakra can quite easily have a lot of parasites and toxins around that particular area around their anus. And in fact, I know a lot of people who are like that. And as a result, they might be attempting to get as much spiritual growth as they possibly can, but they're concentrating on the higher chakras so the lower ones don't get shown up. And that's just going to create a higher amount of polarity, which is going to make things really, really difficult for a spiritual aspirant in the future. If they're raising their vibration as high as possible without dealing with the lowest stuff that is really in control of the mind, then that lowest stuff is going to get shown up a lot. And we might even call it a superbug. Well, guess what? What's a superbug? A superbug is a huge colony of parasites, usually in the colon or kidneys or urinary tract. Superbug that can't be killed unless it's been identified and had a parasite cleanse or a particular protocol to get it gone. Stitching things together, joining the dots? Yeah, I thought so too. Okay, so exorcism is much easier. Have we considered a parasite cleanse? It's easy enough to do, and I can guarantee you it will be totally revelational. Ooh, that's a good word. To your spiritual growth.